This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
We got head coach Picard Alexander and freshman Corey Allen, even high, 33 points. We ask that you please ask the student athlete question first.
Your previous career high was 20 against Eastern Michigan. Any similarities in that game to this game for you?
It was pretty much my teammates in both games. My teammates got me the ball in the right spots, and I just knocked down the shot. I've been working on my game.
How big was that Chris Jenkins dunk?
It was real big. It gave us a lot of momentum. We went on a little run.
Is that SportsCenter top 10 worthy, you think?
I believe so, yeah. I think so. I wouldn't be surprised if it's on there.
Corey, the squad only scored about 6 points the final 11 minutes. What offensive challenges were you seeing there the second half of the first half?
I don't know. It was just a little lid on the basket. I felt like we got to get stops on defense that lead to the offensive part. We kind of a little bit lazy on defense, but we working on that.
Their coach was just in here. He had talked about how they knew what kind of player you were. They were trying to stop you. The way you were going in the second half, when you're going like that, is there anything the defense can do, or as long as you can get some space, you feel like you can knock down shots?
Yeah, if I got a little bit of space, I feel like I can knock it down, any shot.
How much can a game like this help you out during Horizon League play?
It can help me out because they're a really good team. So in the Horizon League, we play good teams too. So it really helped me out. Like I said, they're a tough team, and I got my way a little bit, so I'm feeling pretty confident.
All right, Corey, thank you.
When I talked to John Kaufman in the offseason to schedule this game, how much sense it made for us with regards to proximity, with regards to their style of play. And a lot of times when you're scheduling non-conference opponents, what you're looking for is elements in their style of play that you think you might see in your league play. And they brought those things to the table, and they brought other things to the table to highlight, beating the number 3 ranked team at that time in the country in Indiana. I thought our kids were up for the challenge. I thought that our guys responded well in the second half after handling the barrage of threes of their own to end that first half to create some separation. And I think as we continue to move forward and stay in a growth mindset versus a fixed mindset, meaning that we're never there yet, we're constantly in pursuit of getting better, I think this team is not only going to make a lot of noise in Horizon League play, but I think we're going to be a tough out each and every night here in Callahan Hall.
Now, 6 points only scored during the last 11-16 of the first half. What do you think contributed to that?
I think it's a function of our ability to finish. Oftentimes we drove to the basket, got really good opportunities, and didn't convert. And what the thought process in those situations simply is you go for the score, not for the foul. And oftentimes young players tend to like to drive in there to draw contact versus concentrating on finishing through the contact. And that was the tale of two stories. The Mastodons on the other side drove to get the score versus looking for the foul. As a result, they were able to convert on some three-point plays and things of that nature. And so when you look at experience versus inexperience in some instances, when you talk about Corey Allen driving or maybe a sophomore Josh McFarley versus, Mo Evans, and guys like Bryson Scott, that's the difference, in the maturation and the understanding of how you play through droughts. Because, again, they were able to get to the charity stripe, and when you look at the pure points and you take a deeper dive, now they're getting to the charity stripe plus converting versus us not getting there at all because we're making empty trips to the basket. We got great looks in that stretch as well.
And, Coach, they got Jaleel Hogan into foul trouble, who fouled out, and that's been a concern all season long. Now, how big of a concern is that entering Horizon League play for you?
Well, there's always going to be a concern, and there's a concern, on really 2 levels. One is not so much that they threw the ball in the post to get foul troubles on Jaleel. When you take a closer look at how Jaleel earned his fouls, 2 moving screens, and 2 displacement fouls while trying to jockey for post position inside. And so when you talk about those instances where, players are still learning the fundamentals, of the game, it's, one of those tough things, and some of those tough habits that die hard, as you're trying to mature and grow, guys, and adjust, to the nuances and points of emphasis, in the game. Displacement in the post is a point of emphasis. Being set on screens is a point of emphasis this season. And so, trying to clean up those areas, of the game with Jaleel and both Gerald Blackshear, for that matter, is going to be critically important now that we have some coveted practice time over the holiday break.
So to help rectify that issue, it is practice then, huh? To help out, last year, and then also Hogan.
Yeah,
They had a lot of
exactly.
trouble.
Exactly. We went through one heck of a gauntlet. I mean, 5 different states at one time, 7 out of 10 games in the first stanza of the season on the road. And so what you look at is, I think at that stretch, we only had 6 true practices. But are those really practices, or are we doing game prep, to prepare for the opponent? More often than not is that. And so now that we've had some time to practice and work on timing and stuff like that, I think what you saw today is a higher level of execution offensively by our club. Guys coming off stagger screens, guys coming off, high ball screens, guys rolling into opportunities, guys cutting, guys being able to drive and see different things. It seemed to have a better flow to it versus guys, just kind of playing, more of a freelance style, ill-advised style form of offense.
When you brought Corey in here, obviously he was high in the Mr. Basketball voting. Did you know he could be this good this quickly? I mean, scoring 33 points, 27 in the second half.
Well, you guys thought you saw a treat today. I get to watch him practice every day. Here's a young man that's going to be absolutely phenomenal. And here's why. He's constantly trying to get better. He's constantly trying to improve. He's a gym rat. He's a young man that's eager to invest. And what he's, doing right now is, just reaping the fruits of his labor. I'm so excited to see him play at this level because a lot of us saw him play at this level at the high school, in the high school ranks. And to do it against this type of opponent, I thought was equally as compelling because here's a team that's sitting at 10-3 now after this game that has went out and played some people. And so they've seen some high caliber players, whether that's Big Ten opponents and others, and they didn't have an answer for Corey Allen. And I think what that does is going to open up the game for other players like Chris Jenkins, guys like Josh McFarley, Jaleel Hogan and others, in future games to come. So I'm really pleased with the direction that he's heading.
What did you think of that Chris Jenkins dunk?
That dunk was absolutely what the fans come to see. People pay money to see things that they can't do. And so Chris provided that today. I think it's not only a great confidence booster, but it's one of those momentum plays that gives the whole team energy, gives the whole building energy. I even joke with our guys sometimes. I say, you guys are boring. How many dunks are you going to get? I think I used to get at least 2 dunks a game, back in my day. The older you get, the better you were. But nonetheless, I thought it was fantastic. I hope he gets a little mention, on SportsCenter, because, again, any positive press that we can get, as we try to, fight for wins is good press.
With a little over 4 to play in the game, you had Chris Jenkins come over and you talked to him. What was the message that you conveyed to him at that point?
Great observation. One of the conversations I had with him in that stanza and I had with Josh McFarley right before that is we ran an action. Chris got the ball in the post, and it was designed for him to face up and drive it to the basket, to put a little bit of pressure on the officials, also to put a little bit of pressure on the rim, because at that point in time, he wanted to score while the clock wasn't moving. And we were shooting free throws at a pretty high clip, at that time. Him being a good free throw shooter, we always want to put him in situations where he can get to the charity stripe, and convert for us. And so he settled for a jump shot. And what I tried to point out to him is look at what's going on with your opponent. Look at the type of shots that they're getting and how many trips they're getting to the free throw line and how many empty trips we're getting as a result of settling for early shot clock jumpers. So even as a fifth-year senior, there's always a reminder there of having an awareness of the ebb and flow of the game and how do you dictate things based on the decisions that you make within the flow of it.
You talked about the importance of practices and the lack thereof in the recent past. What do you want to be the 1 or 2 points of emphasis in the next round of practices for the squad?
Great question. Moving forward, what we want to do in practices is make sure we have a really good understanding of everything that we're trying to do defensively is principle-based. Where's the ball? Where should I be? So when you talk about the 4 absolutes defensively, we talk about being in a good defensive stance, having great position, good vision in terms of seeing what's going on with man and ball, and communication. We call it talk. And so when we get to the 4 absolutes, that's key. And then on the flip side, offensively, we want to make sure we understand what each action is designed to do. And within that framework, we want to understand what advantages we have against that particular opponent each and every night as well. So just the game within the game. This player is a good player for them. He has 2 fouls. How do we get him a 3rd foul? This player is hot. How do we get him another shot? And when we can transfer that from coach calling the action each trip to make sure that happens to the players taking ownership, now we're cooking with gasoline.